set these entities up like this. And we have them structured so that the corporation / LLC entity down here is the 100% owner of these entities up top. Because the entities up top is where you'll be taking your real estate. You'll be buying real estate for flipping purposes in these entities. You do not own real estate down here. That is not where we hold real estate. Why? Because if something goes wrong on a flip, and I don't mean somebody gets hurt on the property. In fact, most recently in the last year and a half, where I see all the lawsuits coming up with our clients on that flip real estate, it's not from somebody getting injured while they're constructing the property or rehabbing the property. It's the buyers. The buyers are coming back and suing the sellers, saying, oh, you didn't disclose something when you sold me this property, or it wasn't built to code, and they're making up all this stuff. And the reason why they're doing it many times, because they had a poor home inspector go through the property, didn't catch these things and put them on the punch list, or B, they felt they overpaid because the property values had declined. So those are very real situations that you can get drug into. And if you've got your corporation there, then it's your business. So the way we minimize that impact, and it's really helped out quite a few of our clients that have been involved in these lawsuits, is we structure it as follows, as I just showed you. Here's your corp. You set up your entities and you put one property per entity. And then you flip it out of this LLC, land trust, whatever we're using, depending on where you're investing, where you're flipping. You sell the property from the LLC to the buyer. And then when the property's been sold, you wait a little bit to season it, and then you shut the LLC down. Or you can leave it around if you wanted for 2 or 3 years, doesn't matter. But typically we just shut them down. Now, this strategy that I'm sharing with you, it's the same strategy that Toby and I used when we first started flipping in Las Vegas in 2010. So Toby and I flip real estate. Currently, we flip real estate in North Carolina. We used to flip real estate in the Las Vegas market. So I know how to flip. That's what we do. That's part of our business as well. Besides buy and hold, it's also flipping. So when we're flipping, our concern is that the end buyer decides, oh, I should have done this or should have something different. Let me go back and sue the seller and try to squeeze some coin out of them. And that's what's been happening. And I've seen with some of our clients that are flipping real estate, they come back after them. Well, by using this one property per LLC, we're able to ensure that we're eliminating our risk of loss. You heard what I said? Not minimizing, eliminating. There are a lot of people that, don't attend this event that are out there that are flipping real estate, and we run into them time and time again. Maybe some of you are on here today and you know what I'm talking about. You've been flipping. They'll create one entity and they'll have a couple deals in that same entity. And it's all, maybe they don't even have the corp, maybe they do. And they flip that one property out and they've got 2 other deals going on inside of there. And then this buyer brings out an inspector, looks at the property after the fact because they were concerned about some water remediation work that was done in the basement of this property. And the plumber that came out to look at it to inspect the property tells the buyer, hey, all that remediation work that was done, it wasn't built to code, it's all wrong, and you need to redo it. And here's the bill, $50,000 to fix it. So this buyer then contacts an attorney, and the attorney then goes after this LLC with a demand letter stating, we want $50,000 or we're going to sue. Now, what I'm sharing with you is a client story. We have a client, and this client's a titanium client. And I know there's been some questions. What is titanium? Titanium means that you can create as many LLCs as you want. It's just one investment. You can just keep setting them up. And so for those of you who are active investors, we have a lot of clients that are active investors, flipping property, buying residential real estate. The titanium was built for them, or they have a bunch of existing LLCs. We built this program for them so that they can go out there and really focus on the real estate side, and they don't have to worry about the LLC side, because all they can do is call us up, boom, set them up, no fees other than the filing fee to get this thing going. And in fact, I encourage people who are active real estate investors, follow my lead. I set up LLCs for future real estate deals that have not yet materialized. I always like to have a few on the shelf, because you never know when an opportunity is going to come along. And I prefer to make my offers in an LLC name, not in my personal name. And so I got to have that LLC ready to go. If I don't have it, then I'll be looking around saying, oh, I need to get this filed. And then you know what the way life sometimes works is that the website doesn't work, so we can't get it filed. The IRS doesn't work, can't get an EIN for you. And everything seems to conspire against us because we weren't being proactive. We were, procrastinating on setting up the right structures in place, ready to go, pull the trigger when that opportunity is around. Well, this individual is a Titanium client, and this individual had the tools set up for him, the 3 LLCs that were set up with the intention that he would take 1 property per LLC, but business got in the way of the planning for him, and he ended up taking 3 properties in 1 LLC. And then when this attorney sent him the letter, he came in. He's a platinum client, of course, so he can come in and talk to me at any time, no charge for a platinum client to talk to the attorneys here at Andersen. And he brought in that letter and he showed it to me. He said, Clint, look at this letter. I received this. What should I do? Now, I told him, I said, try to negotiate and settle this for $35,000 or less. If you can get it $25,000, see what you can do here. And he was really upset because he told me that was built to code. This is just a shakedown. And he doesn't feel he should have to pay this. And then he went from there to, I thought you were going to protect me. You're not protecting me with this structure. This is just a waste of money. Why would you tell me to settle? I said, because if you look at this letter, what it states is that if you don't meet their demands, they're going to file a lawsuit and they're going to file lis pendens against your LLC. And what that means is that $50,000 is going to attach to these other 2 properties. And so if you sell or refinance those deals, all that money is going to be paid to the court registry. So the court's going to hold on to it. So you won't get $50K. It'll go over here to the court registry. And then you're going to go to battle over this property. You're going to hire your own attorney. I'm not representing. We do not provide that type of representation. We don't represent you in court. And that's going to probably run you $40,000 in legal fees. And if you lose, you have to pay your buyer's legal fees. Let's say they're $40,000. So now you're out $130,000. That's why I'm telling you to settle. And again, he just was really upset because then it was a waste of money to work with you. And I said, I don't know if I would take that approach. I said, let's look at what happened here is that, the plan dictated that we have 1 property per LLC. And I don't know what went wrong here with your structure, why you chose to take 3 properties per LLC, but we're in this position now because you have assets in that company. If you had no assets in this company and you hadn't put 3 properties in 1 LLC and that attorney sent you this letter and you brought it into my office and you said, Clint, read this, here's what I would have done. Shakedown. I've done that before in front of a client, many times actually. And their eyes get really big. That was from an attorney. I said, yeah, so what? That doesn't mean anything. They're just trying to see if you're going to friggin' blink. I'll tell you what, you're working with people who don't blink, right? We're not blinking over that because we know what's going to happen. They can sit there and they can chase this windmill, get on their horse, go after it. What does it have inside of it? There are 0 assets inside of here. Your recovery is 0. This is why if you're flipping property, you do a deal, shut your LLC down, set up another LLC, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. For some of you who are listening right now, you're going, wow, that's new. I've never heard that before. At Andersen, who understands this? Understand, we have a team. We have over 30 attorneys here that do this stuff day in and day out, that work with our clients, that can structure you in this manner, that understand these things, that take this same approach. They deal with far more clients than I do, and they treated the exact same way. And sometimes, we feel like we'll get on the phone with the attorney and just, banter with them. And you can sense them getting so frustrated. I had one attorney one time was trying to shake down one of my clients. And at the end of the day, I just couldn't fathom what he was doing. It was a subject to type deal. And he said, "You don't get it, do you, son?" That's how he referred to me because he was an older attorney. And I said, "No, I really don't get where your clients are coming from. This is all BS." He goes, "It's simple. Your clients have assets, mine don't." And once he said that, I said, "Well, hell, get better clients." And I hung up on him. And my client was sitting there and they were shocked. "You hung up on him?" I said, "Yeah, he just said his clients don't have any assets, so he's not getting paid. This isn't going anywhere. Just go on and do what you're going to do." I mean, that's the kind of thing that I like to do. In fact, with Jake Botek, same situation. He tried to go after my mother-in-law before I knew him. And I called him up and I said, "You got a broke client. I know this isn't you're only giving your contractor client one free call here. So let's quit wasting each other's time." And he didn't like that. He said I was arrogant and that his client's finances were none of my concern. I said, "I just thinking about you, partner. I don't even know you, but I'm sure you need to get paid. You got bills you got to pay. Let's not waste each other's time." And so understanding how attorneys are motivated, right? It's by money, by recovery. That's what we can do. You set up the right types of structures like I did for my mother-in-law and we've done for our clients here at Anderson. It puts you in a different negotiating position. And it gets kind of fun that way. So protecting your assets if you're going to flip, this is what we want to do. Now, I told you I'm going to show you how to protect your personal residence. All right, this is a big one. How do we protect our personal residence? Okay, so the personal residence, that unfortunately for many of us, that's our low-hanging fruit. That if an attorney's coming after you, somebody's going to think about suing you, they want to know what you got in your house as far as the equity is concerned. Because that's the easiest way for, beyond having accounts in your own name, for an attorney to get paid. And it's a great investment at the same time to get a judgment against somebody that has a personal residence because of the way judgments work. So think on this. Here you are. You're right here. And you've got your house over here, and it has $200,000 in equity inside of it. You're sued, and this judgment creditor here obtains a judgment against you for $175,000. They get a judgment against you for $175,000. So what are they going to do with that judgment? They're going to take that judgment and they're going to record it in the county in which you live. So if you lived in Pierce County, they'll record it in Pierce County. And then when you record a judgment against Tom and Susan, who live in Pierce County, any real estate where it says Tom and Susan as the owner of the property, the grantee of the property, that judgment will stick. So that means this: if Tom and Susan try to sell that property or refinance that property, that creditor is getting paid. That's how simple it is. Now, what does a creditor do? They sit back and they wait for Tom and Susan to do something with that house. And in fact, it's kind of a good position to be in as a creditor because that judgment grows at a 10% annual rate of interest. That's a 10 cap, right? When you think about return on your investment, you get a judgment against somebody, it's growing at 10% rate of return. That's double what you're getting in CDs. Heck, I want to buy judgments if that's what they're growing at. They can't do anything with the property without paying me. I'm in a great position. This is going to double what? Every 5 to 7 years, it's going to be doubling. So individuals that hold real estate, their personal residence in their own name, they are vulnerable here. There's a lot of people out there that don't know about the strategy I'm going to share with you that unfortunately have had to live through this before in their lives because no one's ever sat down with them and said, "Hey, you're vulnerable here, right? Your property's in your own name. If something goes wrong over here with your kids and you get sued, your house is at risk." So what we want to do then, recognizing the vulnerable asset and understanding how that asset can come under attack, you have to do one simple thing, right? The judgment attaches to your name. If your name attaches to your house, just got to get your name off the house. It's that simple. Let's get your name off the property. The way we do that but we do it in a way in which we preserve all of the tax benefits of being a homeowner. Because I've heard people before, they've worked with other attorneys, and they'll say, well, I put my house in a limited liability company, or I put my house in a corporation, even worse yet, or an irrevocable trust. And I just said, well, why? Well, they told me it's going to give me asset protection. Okay, yeah, you get asset protection, but if you sell your house, you know, you're not going to be able to exclude $500,000 in gain on the sale because of what you did. 2, that asset protection you're talking about, are you renting your house from that business entity? Because, you know, I've never been able to go up to Marriott and say, hey, just give me a free room, right? Why? Because they charge. They're a business. And if you want that business respected, it needs to be charging, or else court will just ignore it and they'll say there's no business purpose there. So those people who don't plan or use those types of planning tools are doomed to fall into this trap. But they don't, if somebody sues them, there's going to be judgments entered against them and they're not going to be able to protect themselves. The simple strategy is to set up a residence trust, personal residence trust. Personal residence trust. Let me just put that. I got the PR there. I can't read that chicken scratch. Let me just fix that. Personal residence trust is what we're going to create to protect that house. So to make it even look cleaner, show you what we have. We have Tom and Susan that own this house. I'll just put T&S. And they're going to create a trust over here. And you got to come up with a name for your trust. Now, these documents are not filed anywhere. They're all private. So you come up with a name for this trust. So let's call this one the Crazy Squirrel Trust. You come up, Crazy Squirrel Trust. Be as creative as you want, right? There's no reason to do it any other way. Personally, I like doing things like this. So I call it the Crazy Squirrel Trust. And then with a trust, you have to have a trustee. Okay. Now, some of us may have an interpretation of what a trustee's job is and what type of control they have. I want you to suspend that for a moment here. Okay, what you think a trustee can do with trust assets, because that's not the way it is. And why I'm telling you that is that Tom and Susan may think they're going to be the trustees of their trust. Well, they're not. They are not going to be the trustee of this trust. I'm going to tell Tom and Susan, you're going to use me or another attorney in Anderson as your trustee. Tom and Susan, you get to be the beneficiaries of your trust, the T&S. That means they're the owners of the trust. And so then what I'm going to tell Tom and Susan to do is deed their property into the name of the trust. So the deed will read as follows. Tom and Susan deed their property to Clint, trustee of Crazy Squirrel Trust, just like that. Now, here's what happens. You get a judgment against Tom and Susan. You record that judgment in Pierce County. That judgment goes out looking for any assets, real property that Tom and Susan's name appears on. Do they appear on that property? No, they do not. Now, if Tom and Susan put their name on as trustee, and it happens all the time, there are people that do this every day. They'll set up a trust, they'll put their name on as trustee because they think that if they don't list themselves as trustee, then they don't have any control over the property. They don't know what you know now. What we know is that if we set up a trust, we can determine who has control over those trust assets. Because when we're setting up a trust, we're stating in our trust agreement that the beneficiaries, Tom and Susan, they have all the control, the power to sell, the power to live there, the power to refinance it. Okay, all of that is held by the beneficiaries. The trustee, we give the trustee zero power. That's what we're doing with our trust. So the trustee doesn't have any control over the trust asset. All of that control rests with Tom and Susan. Now I think it's more palatable and comfortable for people to say, all right, well, then I'm okay using Clint as the trustee or some other attorney at Anderson because they don't have any control. But more importantly, what we're doing when we set the trust up this way, we're setting it up so that when Clint resigned, when I resign, Tom and Susan become the trustees. Now, no one knows about any of this planning that's going on, who the beneficiaries are, who the trustees are, because the trust is a private document. You cannot view the trust document. It's not recorded anywhere. So if somebody's looking up your house, they're not going to see your name associated with that property. They're going to think Clint is the owner of the property. They don't know it's yours. They get a judgment against you, or maybe they don't even want to sue you because there's no assets to go after. That's why I like using personal residence trusts for our clients to protect their assets. It's extremely effective. It throws everyone off when it comes to going after it. And we have no control. I resign like that. As soon as the client signs the deed, I give them my resignation. I give them a trustee's deed and I said, I'm off. It's all you now. Why? Because I don't want to be associated with their property. But on title, people think that I'm there. And I'll show you what happens. I mean, this is what occurs. Go past this one. So here's a property report in Wisconsin. Look at that. This property located in Bayview Drive, Wisconsin, is owned by the Gabby Lodge Trust, Clint Coons trustee. I don't own that property. I have nothing to do with that piece of real estate right now. I'm no longer a trustee on that trust. I've resigned. But the person that is involved with this property, if a judgment was entered against them, it won't stick. They could sell that property. They could refinance it in the name of the trust. They could do anything they wanted, and the creditors aren't going to get paid because their name's not associated with it. A year ago, I helped a client refinance, pull $800,000 on a home equity line out of their house or personal residence because I was listed as a trustee. They reappointed me to be their trustee to do this deal. I didn't sign off on the debt, but I signed off on pledging the trust's assets, which happened to be the property, and they did it. So if any creditors were out there, they could not find them, could not get after those monies. Those monies went into their account, never came to me, didn't run it through my trust account, and their name never had to touch. This is what we're doing. Look at, it's kind of annoying. I'll be upfront with you because I get text messages all the time. Hey, Clint, our client was driving down Artibus this morning and passed your property at 2421. I want to know, you're interested in selling. Hey, Briarcrest Trust, Clint Coons trustee. Hey, I want to touch base again to see if you'd entertain selling the property. I don't own any of this real estate. I'm thinking about changing my cell phone number because of all the calls I get on a weekly basis where people are skip tracing me and they're calling me about wanting to buy my properties. And none of these are my properties. They're my clients' properties where I was listed as a trustee to keep their identity private. That's what this strategy can do for you. Put your property in a personal residence trust. You get it out of your name. You're in complete control. But if something happens, your property's there. It's not going to be hit by that lawsuit or that judgment. It's going to be protected from it. And if you're wondering, well, what happens if I want to put your name back on? You can put your name back on at any time because we give you what's called a trustee's deed. All you have to do is record the deed at the county, and then it substitutes my name off and puts your name on. So you're in complete control. We step away, but we leave that shield in place. It's the best way I have found to protect a personal residence is to use this type of trust for your planning. Now, so what does all that look like? Well, you take all these things that we've been discussing and you put them all into this living trust. All right, just like this. So if you had an active business, remember I showed you a flipping corporation, you're flipping, your living trust is going to own that. Your personal residence is going to go into a personal residence trust like this. Your safe assets, your real estate LLC stuff that I was showing you earlier, like this. All this goes into your living trust. Your vehicles, place into your living trust. So this entity, a well-drafted plan, looks something like I'm showing you right now. You have a living trust, which I told you is the most important entity. It's going to own everything that you will acquire during your lifetime. Now, Toby's going to go into this in more detail. I just want to impress upon you why I'm telling you that this is the most important thing is because as we go out there and we start building up our rental portfolios and we start generating our assets and increasing our net worth, I personally believe that I have a responsibility to ensure that the efforts that I put forth, that Tracy and I, the sacrifices we've made, will exist beyond a generation. And there's so many people, unfortunately, you've probably seen people like this. They inherit money and they blow it. They go right out and they buy fancy cars and things that depreciate, that have no value because maybe their spouse doesn't appreciate what it means to own rental real estate and that this is going to create an income stream for life. And they'd rather have the immediate gratification that can come from selling something and buying something. It makes you feel good today, right? But 3 years from now, that $100,000 Mercedes is worth $60,000, where that $100,000 property you inherited has been giving you $8,000 a year in income, and now it's worth $120,000. Who's in the better financial position, right? Or your child's going through a divorce, and then their inheritance, 50% of it's gone, or they're involved in a lawsuit, and then the creditor comes in and takes all that. And so when you're thinking about planning, this living trust is something that we don't often focus on because everybody thinks about asset protection, which is extremely important. But how about protecting those assets that have the asset protection so that when you're no longer here, they're going to continue to do for multiple generations for what it's doing for you today and what it'll do for you in the future. That's where your trust comes in. And the way you can set these things up is so that they continue to take the income from the assets and provide that to your children, to their children, and so forth. And so I'll give you an example. In our estate plan, it's set up so that the real estate is held in trust for multiple generations. And our son, Carter, he's actually an attorney. He used to work at Deloitte. He now works here at Anderson. Those of you who start working with us, you'll probably be talking to Carter at some point in time. And he's an attorney, but when Tracy and I are no longer here, he and his sister will not receive all of the real estate, the portfolio. That's going to be held in trust. They'll get the income off of it, but they're not going to get the assets. The assets I want protected. So if something goes wrong in their lives, a spouse, ex-spouse cannot get access to those assets. I want it to give them income, but I also want to give it to them income in a responsible way. And that is meaning that you are going to receive income provided you're being a responsible adult and you're doing certain things that we raise you to do. And if for whatever reason, I can never see this occurring because both kids are extremely responsible. But if something did happen that changed their minds in life and they decide, you know what, we've got $300,000 a year coming in. That's all I need. I'm not going to aspire to more than that. I'm just going to sit back and vacation and play video games and drink beer with my friends and golf all day long. Great. I will not fund that lifestyle because that's not the way I was raised and that's not the way I raised you. I raised you to go out there and take what we've done, build upon this foundation, and use those opportunities you've been blessed with to do more. If you choose to do less in life, then that's on you. And hopefully your next generation will take that opportunity to do more and appreciate what's been bestowed to them because they have that responsibility to do that. This comes from having a living trust. And there's a lot of other benefits that Toby's going to be talking about, but I've seen too many people go through this in their estates where after the parents pass away, the assets, all that hard work falls on the wayside and the kids go their own way and they split it all up. And that foundation that could have created generational wealth is gone. So that's really important. But as I stated, preserving all this, it does work. Let me just show you really quick here what I'm talking about. People, you heard me talk about the charging orders earlier today and having that Wyoming LLC. Well, here's an email I got a couple of years ago from a client. She had a charging order against these Hawaii real estate developers. And these guys had set up LLCs. She got a judgment against them for $2 million and she couldn't collect on half of it. They owed her still 1 million bucks and she wasn't getting paid. And she was really frustrated. She said, Clint, can you help me get paid here? They owe me this money. They're living in my neighborhood in luxury condominiums and driving Teslas and Mercedes. Their lifestyle's not been impacted, but they owe me money. I want to get paid. And I said, well, I don't know. Let me see what they have. And so she sent me over a structure. She knew how they were structured. And this is what they had. And I looked at that and I said, whoa. And immediately I panicked. I wondered, maybe they're our clients, because this looks like something we would do for somebody who's got a lot going on, right? I mean, I have structure diagrams. We've done stuff like this for clients that are really active in investing. So it's not uncommon for us to see this with our clientele. There's a certain percent of our clientele that's what it looks like. But they weren't our clients. Gene and Waters are not our clientele. And so knowing their entities is one thing, but knowing how the money flows is also important. So I said, do you know where the money's flowing between these? And she said, yeah, we found that out after we got a judgment against them. And she showed me this. And after I saw that, I said, we got a problem. I can't help you. And she goes, what do you mean you can't help me? You sound just like the other attorneys. I said, I know you were hoping that because you reached out to me that I could give you some magic solution that they couldn't provide. Here's the issue. They have Nevada company, Nevada company, Nevada company, and all their money flows through these Nevada LLCs. And what I explained to her is I said, you've got a charging order on 3 Nevada limited liability companies. The 3 best states to create LLCs for asset protection: Wyoming, Delaware, and Nevada, in that order. They chose Nevada. Now, we don't use Nevada as much anymore in our planning because you can't get the anonymity you can acquire with Wyoming or Delaware. These clients didn't have anonymity with their structure. That's why we could track it back to them. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Our client could not get paid with that overall, with the planning that they'd set up, because Nevada has strong charging order protections. I told her, I said, you know, I'm sorry, but my hands are tied. I can't do anything for you. And if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd be Gene and Waters, and somebody's coming after you, you wouldn't be paying them. And I understand the frustration of being where she's at, but I've also seen the elation in being in a position where you have an opportunity to put in place a plan, and you take that opportunity when it's presented to you, and you do it with this in mind, knowing that, hey, I probably will never be sued. I don't do anything wrong. Why would somebody want to sue me? And then you do get sued. Because we can't plan. I mean, you could plan a lawsuit if you went out there and you intentionally tore your neighbor's garage down, right, when he's out of town for a month. Yeah, you're going to get sued. You knew that was coming. But it's the things that we don't anticipate in life that create those lawsuits. And when those lawsuits hit and people are coming after you for $15 million, you're going to be looking back and saying, what did I do to ensure that those assets are protected? In fact, I want to share with you one of our clients who was kind enough to share her story. She's someone that I worked with a few years back, it was actually several years back, and we sat down and we created a structure together and put together a plan, just like doing today. We talked about the importance of asset protection, and they have real estate, they have businesses, and then they were hit with a massive lawsuit, huge lawsuit. And I'll let her tell the story.
Before I met Clint and everybody at Anderson, we had some entities structured with another attorney and stuff. And we're going through a lot of stuff. And I took Clint's course and had him look at all of our books and stuff. And come to find out, we were completely structured all wrong. And so he and Anderson redid all of our books, put us in the right structure. We had stuff in our own names. He took care of all of that for us and has saved us, literally, no joke, millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits. And we could not be more thankful and grateful that we went to the course, that we met you, and for everything that you guys over there that have done for us.
So she and her husband were sued for $15 million. And they're structured just like I've been sharing with you. They made a choice to invest with us and put together their plan. And we spent some time putting this plan together. And they were able to walk away with their policy limits being paid out. They didn't lose a single dime. Now, there was another defendant in that lawsuit, which happened to be his father, and he was named as a joint defendant. He had zero basic liability, but this case was in California. It doesn't matter whether or not you're right or wrong. Sue you anyways. And he couldn't settle. He tried to settle. And he was so frustrated that he could not settle for his insurance policy. You see, the plaintiffs wanted more from him. And here's exactly what they said to him. Your son has no assets. That's why we settled with him. We ran an asset search on you, and we know you're worth at least $10 million in Los Angeles County alone. We know you can pay. You don't get off the same way. That's what it came down to. Unfortunately for him, I tried to work with this gentleman and create a plan similar to what we did for his son, but he had another attorney, and that attorney, again, it's like a lot of people out there, a lot of attorneys, they tell you, don't worry about it. It doesn't work the way he's telling you. Just get insurance and you'll be protected. Well, insurance will protect you to a point, and insurance is important. Just like I told my clientele that I was working with, I said, I want to create a plan for you. If somebody comes after you, like happened here, they'll take your policy limits and they'll leave you alone. That's why you have the insurance. I don't want them to think that you have more to give. And if we plan properly, we will create that impression with them. And so they were so thankful. I remember after this thing settled and they walked away without losing a dime, they invited me to come out to they have nightclubs, and they invited me and my partner, Michael Bowman. They said, come on out. So we went out to their club and we sat down, and they said, we know you like to drink wine. What's your favorite wine? Well, at that time it was Opus. And I said, I like Opus. Next thing I know, the waiter brings out a bottle of Opus that on their list, the wine list, $3,500 for that bottle. I'm looking, I was like, no. I can't accept this. And they said to me, you will accept this. The client's name said, you will have this, and you're going to have several other on us. Okay. Because they were showing their appreciation. Now, my partner, Michael, we call him Cuspidor because he'll drink any wine. He loves even better wine. More wine, the better. He's like, Clint, this is the best place. We need more clients like this. And I said, what, that have Opus in the back room going back, verticals? He goes, yeah, even better. But the idea here is that, they're expressing their gratitude of what we were able to do for them. And so putting this plan in place is critical. When you run into those challenges in life, having that there to back you up, it's going to give you that type of peace of mind. And hopefully you'll send me a bottle of Opus. Now, on other things that are important as well, when you're doing this, all right, when you're putting these entities together, all right, it's not just enough about filing them. You also want to put in place the operating agreements or essential provisions you have to have. And so to make this really work in your favor, things that you need to have, such as in your LLCs, you want to make sure there's no forced distributions, the ability to engage in competing ventures. You want to make sure you have proper tax provisions. So when I'm talking about, hey, we're going to have this LLC over here taxed as a C Corp, or this one a disregarded entity, or this one a partnership, that's critical. If you don't have the right tax provision in your operating agreement and you're telling the IRS this is how it's going to be taxed, you're going to open yourself up for an audit, and it won't end well, won't end favorably for you. Charging order language. So that asset protection language I'm referring to, it's got to be in your operating agreement to make sure that a creditor's only remedy is going to be a charging order. You miss that, you're going to miss the protection. Restrictions on transfer of ownership. You want to make sure when you create an entity that if you decide that you want to bring in a family member, maybe a child, and you want to make them give them an interest in that LLC, which, with our children, we started investing in real estate together on different deals. And when I bring them in, these small single family homes, they come in as a partner. And when they come in as a partner, in that operating agreement, it states that they cannot transfer their ownership to anyone else. Why? Because I know they have interests in their life, fiancés and things like that. I love their spouses or soon-to-be spouses, treat them as family. But the last thing I want to do is be in a situation where something goes wrong, they get a divorce, and that interest gets transferred to somebody. So I keep it locked down. You can do the same thing with your operating agreements. No right to return a capital. You can't ever force me to take money back out. Pro rata distributions. This right here. This language here, You do not want that in your operating agreement. And I've read there's so many people out there, when we review their operating agreements, it states that distributions will be made pro rata. I'm going to explain that here in just a minute. This is the worst thing you can have. I've already noticed there's a lot of people that are watching me today that have existing LLCs. So you want to be paying attention to this thing I'm going to share with you next. And then you want to have the ability to appoint officers. So what do I mean by that? Pro rata distributions. So here's what happened. There's a situation with an individual that had was involved, or that had some assets, and he set himself up a Nevada LLC, set up this Nevada limited liability company, and he transferred some assets into the LLC. He put some cash in there, and he put a property in there as well, which he shouldn't have done, but it's not relative to what I'm about to describe. So he set this LLC up and he put these assets into there, and then he was involved in a contract dispute. So some individuals sued him under this contract dispute, and they get a judgment against him. Let's just say it's $1 million. Doesn't matter the value. They get this judgment against him under this contract dispute. So now they've got this judgment. And just like I described earlier today, when you set up a Wyoming LLC, they get a judgment against you. Their only remedy is going to be a charging order. So these creditors went and they put a charging order on his ownership interest in his Nevada LLC. And of course, the charging order directed him, if he's going to take money out as a distribution, he had to pay it to his creditor. Well, this gentleman here also had his wife as a member in the LLC. She was a 50% member. And he decided, hey, I'm not going to take any money out of the LLC, because in taking money, if I take money out, I have to give it to the creditor. So what we'll do is we'll just distribute money to my wife. So that's what he started doing. He started distributing money to his wife. Well, the creditor found out about this. And then they came back and they drug him back into court and they said, you've been taking money and you haven't been paying us. He said, no, I haven't. I haven't taken any money. My wife's been taking the money, but I haven't. And they said, well, let's look at your operating agreement. So they pulled open his operating agreement and they showed him, in every LLC, you have what's called a distribution clause. And it describes how distributions are going to be made. And they said, you see in your operating agreement, it states that all distributions will be pro rata. Now, let me explain to you what that word means. It means that for every dollar you give your wife, you are deemed to receive $1 in distributions. That means distributions have to be equal. And he said, well, I didn't take any money. And they said, it doesn't matter if you didn't take any money, you're still deemed to have received money. And therefore, if you're deemed to have received a distribution, you are obligated to pay us that money, which you did not do. So then they moved to break the LLC because he was in violation of the charging order, which they did, and all those assets then went to the creditor. Now, this is a case out of Utah, by the way. Here's what happened. The gentleman that created this limited liability company didn't understand that words have meaning. And this mistake here with this language, it could have easily been remedied had he created an operating agreement with 3 additional letters. That's it. Just 3 letters would have preserved all of his assets. Those 3 letters are NON. Had his operating agreement stated as follows: the manager of the LLC may make non-pro rata distributions, which means you can make unequal distributions, that it's not based upon your ownership percentage. That outcome would have been drastically different. Those creditors would have never been paid. They never would have been able to pierce the LLC and get the assets like they did, because the operating agreement would have protected him. That's how important it is. Sometimes people say, well, that's granular. And there's a lot of people out there that don't realize this, and they create operating agreements. They use LegalZoom or Zoom to set these things up. And they don't understand that these words that are drafted into the operating agreement is stuff that we've been doing for 25 years, and we've modified them over time, because as situations come up, we realize, hey, we got to tweak this. We saw this issue, that happened down in Florida with the Olmstead case. We got to change some language here to confront that. these are things that get modified over time, and it only comes from doing, right? And working, as that one client talked about, the difference between Andersen and a lot of local people is our approach. So it's very important, and that is why at Andersen, what we want to do is create something for you to put you on the path to protecting your assets. We want you to be able to take the information we're providing and leave this event today and realize, hey, I'm going forwards, right? I'm putting the things in place now to address the issues that Clint brought up. So if that happens in my life, I won't find myself in that position of looking around wondering, do I have to start over again? Just like that client that I shared with you who's in their mid 60s and they're having to get a new job. That's not going to be you, because you're going to take the right steps to put in place a plan. That's why what we have created for you today, as I talked about earlier at the very beginning, is what we refer to as our Business Essentials package. And what it's designed to do is lay that foundation. Let's get the right planning in place, take everything that Clint's been talking about, start putting it together the right way, fixing the mistakes that we may have made in our planning, and really doing the things that the people out there that are running around and creating entities, they just don't even understand yet. And, it's great that they do it and they put something in place. And I commend people that are doing something rather than nothing when it comes to asset protection. But I've always looked at it, if you're going to do anything, you do it right or you don't do it at all. And that's when it comes to asset protection. I get, a lot of you are on here and you just didn't know what you know now. And that's why we're working towards putting these things together. And Business Essentials is designed to do that for you. So what does it include? When I say it's our Business Essentials package, well, here's what it includes. It includes a custom drafted entity. So what we're going to provide you is a limited liability company, Wyoming LLC. You choose the state, we'll create that. If you want a traditional corporation, I shared with you some reasons when you use a traditional corp, a statutory trust, or maybe you want a solo 401k because you want to take your IRAs and put them into real estate. We will draft one of these entities. We'll set it all up for you. That's going to be included. In addition, when we set up an entity, what we're doing is everything, right? This isn't where, hey, here's a form document, you got to fill this out. No, we're going to get to collect information from you after we strategize and determine what's appropriate entity to be created, where it should be created, how it needs to be set up for tax purposes. Then we're going to do the filings. So your name will never appear on a filing that we set up. So you want anonymity? That's where it starts. So we're going to do the filings for your entity, and then we're going to draft a custom operating agreement for you. So this is where I think a lot of people don't realize the problems they could be creating for themselves when they want to start doing larger deals or more deals, is that they set up LLCs and they go into a bank or a lender and they look at their limited liability company or their corporation documents, and it has generic terms such as this company can engage in all lawful business activity. And they think, well, I thought that you were a nail salon. What does this all lawful business activity mean? Shouldn't it be nail salon? You see, so many operating agreements and documents, they're not custom drafted to the actual business that somebody's engaging in. Or if you're involved in real estate, flipping, different provisions in a flipping LLC versus a buy and hold LLC, different provisions in a joint venture limited liability company versus one in which you're going to own the interest yourself. So all of this plays into showing someone, hey, I'm serious about my business. And I can't speak enough about how important I believe that is. And people sometimes don't value that. Is that people will evaluate you, other third parties that you're trying to do business with as you go about there. And they're going to ask to see copies of your agreements when you go to a lender and you want to get a loan. They're going to say, let me see your operating agreement. So you're going to bring it in. And let's assume that you don't have, you don't have an operating agreement. And so you need to get one. So you jump on your computer, you download something for free off the internet, you print it off on your inkjet printer. It's 6 pages long. You throw it on your desk and there happened to be a coffee stain there from your cup. That gets on the back of that agreement you just printed off. And it also, when you're printing it, you're running out of ink. So it went from black to light gray. And then you sign it and you bring it in and you give it to your lender and you say, hey, take me seriously. Here's my operating agreement. And they look at it, and you didn't do a very good job at proofing because it has someone else's name in there. And you expect them to loan you money. That's how you want to start off your business relationship. But people do it all the time. And they wonder why they run into roadblocks, why people won't lend them money, why they struggle with their business entities. It's because your entity is a reflection upon you. And when you walk in there and you show someone, hey, I've invested in myself. This operating agreement, depending on what you're doing, any range, we create, 30 pages. It could be upwards of 120 pages. And people say, well, that seems overkill. No, it doesn't. I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, and not have it. And so I'm putting something together that encompasses what it is you're doing. And so when you share that with someone, they know you're serious and that you've made the investment to work with an attorney, work with someone who specializes in what it is you're doing to help you achieve your goals. And that's how we draft everything we do here at Andersen. In addition to that, we give you the anonymity shield. We register your business with the IRS and get your EIN number for you. And then we prepare unit ledgers. And so it's all sent out to you in a binder initially. And then from there, we start doing everything via DocuSign to make it quicker. But it gives you weight. So when you walk in and somebody asks you for a copy of that and you drop it on the counter, they're like, whoa, this person's serious about what it is they're doing. That's how we do it. And you can take my word for it. I've been doing this for 27 years, or you can take the words of our client, So here's a real estate investor who stated, hey, Savannah, she works for us, said, the hard money lender we're dealing with has been in the lending business for 17 years. And he stated that this was the best structured JV LLC they'd ever seen. And then he went on to describe nightmare scenarios and, how things didn't work out. This is what I mean when I said your documents, you set up an entity the right way, it's going to help you get more deals done. It will. It'll do the lifting for you. When people ask to see that, that is the difference. And that's where people many times run into problems. Their operating agreements, their documents, their structures hold them back rather than do what I recommend is they move you forwards. All right. The other thing we're going to include is our Platinum program. Now, our Platinum program, you've heard me talk about Platinum clients a few times, and I saw a bunch of questions come up. Every time I mention, what's Platinum? What does Clint mean by Platinum? Well, here's what Platinum is. It gives you unlimited access to the attorneys here at Andersen, meaning you can call in, you can ask your questions, and you'll never be billed an hourly rate. This is something that Toby and I and Michael set up at Andersen because we realized one of the major impediments for people in general when it came to building out their business and moving their investing forwards was attorneys. I mean, I'm an attorney. I get it. But I'm not the typical type of attorney. My friend Jake, how does he operate? Well, he operates on an hourly basis. If you want to work with him, you come into his office, you pay his hourly fee, and then you work with him, and he's going to charge you, every 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever his billing schedule is set up. And so a lot of people, before they do things, there's a lot of people out there that should be talking to an attorney, but they don't. Maybe you're in that position, or you've been in that position in the past, and you know what I'm talking about, that you probably could have saved yourself some heartache or headaches on the back end had you just gone and talked with somebody, a professional, and got some advice, but you didn't many times because there's a cost there to do that. And a lot of times I think it's not only the cost, it's whether or not the person you're talking to, as Toby stated, is doing what you're doing, or does that person work with people that do what you do? Because it's just not enough to be an attorney. You need to be a professional that's working in that space, because you're going to know the issues associated with those types of businesses and with that type of activity. And you're going to be forward thinking and putting things in place. So when those issues come up, they're no longer a problem for you. And I tell people, it's like, let's, for example, assume that you wanted to engage in house hacking, right? And you walk into an attorney's office and you say, can you advise me on how to set up a structure for house hacking? 9 out of 10 are going to look at you and tell you it's an illegal activity. You cannot do that. And they're not going to help you engage in illegal activity. Why? Because they assume that you're going to hack someone's house, break into their internet, and you want them to help you do it. They don't understand that house hacking is a term that's used for renting out a room in your property to cover your mortgage so you can then build up enough income so you go out and buy another property. Those are the types of things that when you bring up those types of words, we understand where you're coming from. So you're working with knowledgeable people. That's what our Platinum program is designed to do, is give you that access. You can call in, and that hourly stuff. I mean, I've had my own attorneys and I know the problems. You don't want to call them up because you know they're going to bill you 2 or 3 times the amount of time you spent talking. Worse yet, they bring another attorney in and discuss it with that other attorney, and the bills keep going up. And then you get that bill at the end of the month. And you're like, what the hell? You won't have that with Andersen. We've designed our Platinum, no hourly rates. But you know what? In addition to that, we're asset protection and tax. So we would be remiss if we didn't give you access to the tax planning side as well. So not only do you get your legal questions answered, you get your tax questions answered. The only caveat here is you can't talk to the CPA. We've created a special portal for you to send your questions in. So you send in your written questions, then a CPA will respond to you with a written answer. Now, why? So I get this question all the time. Why can't I talk to the CPA, Clint? Why do I get to talk to attorneys and not the CPA? Because people tend to interpret taxes and deductions always in their favor. Here's a classic example. We used to allow people to talk to the CPAs. They'd call in, hey, can I write off my car? Yes, you can, provided you're doing the following. It's used for your business, blah, 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 blah. Well, people would oftentimes hear, oh, yes, I can. And then they just quit listening. At that point in time, they write off their car, they get audited, and they find out that they couldn't write their vehicle off, and they'd call us back up and say, you told me I could do this. Now, what record did I have of it to prove my case that no, we told you could, but you had to do the following. So that's why we stated everything has to be in writing. But the benefit is you can go back and review those at any time because it's all preserved. It's in your portal, is what we call it. So all those questions, those answers always get preserved there for you. So use it, just like what you're doing today with the Q&A. That's how we've set up our system to work on the tax side. In addition to that, 2 legal documents a month. So if you have documents you want us to take a look at, send it in. We'll take a look at them and tell you what we think. Now, we will not draft for you. We do not draft contracts. What we do is we review contracts and legal documents. And we tell you if we find errors that need to be addressed. And I know people say, well, Clint, just draft for me. That's not what I do. I will point out these errors. I'll tell you, you need to work the attorney that drafted it. Tell them you want to make these changes. Run it by me after they make the changes. I'm not drafting, but we're reviewing. And you'd be amazed how many mistakes we find when we review agreements. I mean, huge mistakes that could cost our clients deals, money, things like that. I remember one situation where I had a client. She wanted me to look at a joint venture agreement. And the joint venture agreement stated, in exchange for $100,000, we agree to pay you back $45,000 in 90 days. And she sent that to me and she said, Clint, can you look this over? What do you think? And I said, I wouldn't do this. She goes, what do you mean? They're going to give me $45,000 back in 90 days for a $100,000 investment. I said, okay, how about this? I got another deal. Send me $100,000 and I'll give you back $75,000 in 15 days. She said, how could you do that? I said, simple. You give me 100. I got to deposit that. I have to make sure it clears. And once I have the $100,000 in my account, I'll write you a check for 75. There we go. You got your 75. Now, that's not what she thought she was getting out of the deal. And I said, what you're about to sign only obligates them to give you back $45,000. But that's not the intent. Well, okay, I get that, but that's what the agreement states. You need to change that. So she went and she had it changed and she brought it back to me. She goes, what do you think now? I said, yeah, this says you're going to get your principal back plus $45,000, but don't do the deal. My personal opinion, I wouldn't do it. She said, but it's such a great deal. And I said, yeah, it's such a great learning experience when you lose your money on this deal. And she said, I don't understand how I'm going to lose my money. Well, you're going to give them $100,000. And the fact is that they screwed this aspect up where they're trying to bring money in from you and they can't get that right. What do you think is going to happen when they try to rehab that property? I mean, these are the important things that come in. They're not paying attention to these details. You think they're paying attention to those details? Don't do the deal. And I don't think she did the deal, but that's what you get at Andersen, is that not only do we look at it from the legal side, we also give you a practical advice as well, because we deal with this on a day in and day out basis. You have access to our library of training videos and legal documents. Those documents themselves, many of them are customizable forms that you can download. So going forwards, we're all about education here at Andersen. And so we're constantly updating it, giving you more information about how to use your entities, how when the market changes, what you need to be doing, like land trust right now, important tool to using. If you're doing subject to investing, you want to check out that aspect of our education side about if you want to put together a subject to deal. So we break different types of strategies down as well and educate you on them. So when you go out there and you start employing these types of investing strategies, you're doing it in the right manner. And then we give you exclusive member pricing. So Andersen has a lot of other things that are going on, and that when you become a client here, a part of our Platinum program, and you're looking at taking your investing and doing other things here with Andersen that we have to offer, we treat you as a valued client, and we recognize the investment you made in us, and we're going to give you that investment back by giving you discounts on a number of services that we can provide you. In addition to the Platinum program, we're also going to bring to bear our Company Assistance Program. You're going to receive this as well. So what does our Company Assistance Program mean? It gives you an address. I talked about Wyoming. You have an address there. You're going to get one in Wyoming or Nevada. We'll create an address, a physical presence for you in one of these states. And here's the thing. What we do is that when we set up a Wyoming LLC, well, that makes sense. You're going to have a Wyoming address. But how about when you create that LLC in Texas? And you don't have a business address in Texas. All you have is your personal address. Don't worry, with our Company Assistance Program, you're going to use our address in Wyoming or Nevada. Yes, you can use a Nevada address for a Texas limited liability company. Why would I want to do that? Because I don't want people to know that it's my entity. I don't want them to see my personal address. So that's how we set this up. So with our Company Assistance Program, we're going to be building out for you, for your entities, that complete anonymity structure. So when people look at it, they don't see your personal information attached to that entity. Now, mail comes in addressed to that business. What we do with it is we scan it and we upload it into a secure encrypted server that you have access to and we have access to. So people say, well, what about my mail? Don't worry about it. Use the address, send it in. We have 2 mail rooms, big mail rooms where we process it, scan it. Now, if it's a tax document, something like that, we then forward that on to you and we scan it, but you receive this benefit. The other thing is we have minutes and resolution drafting. So if you're out there and you're trying to put a deal together and a title company tells you, hey, I need an LLC resolution that you're authorized to sign on behalf of this company. Just the other day, this came up. Somebody was trying to close on a deal with their LLC, and the title company said, we need you to be an officer of that LLC to go to closing. They called us up and said, what does this mean? And said, well, we just need to appoint you as a president. Well, how do you do that? Don't worry, I'll have it to you in 10 minutes. Drafted up a simple resolution naming our client as president of their existing LLC. It wasn't one we'd created because it had already been in there. And listed him as president. He was able to go to closing and get his deal done. This is what we'll do. It's all part of our Company Assistance Program, which is designed to make sure that the documents, the things that you need to do on an annual basis, that's no longer part of your lift. We take that lift on for you. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call us. But more importantly, here's the thing that goes wrong a lot of times. People create the businesses and they don't know what they need to do on an annual basis. And then what happens is their business dissolves on them. They think they have asset protection, but they don't, because maybe you changed addresses, you moved, maybe you're in the military and you PCS somewhere. And so they send all the statements to the old address and they're not going to your new address. And then you lose your entity, because the state will administratively dissolve it. With our Company Assistance Program, that's never a concern because we're monitoring for you all of your entities. You heard what I said? Not the ones only that we create, all of your entities get brought under this program. And then we monitor them and then we reach out to you on an annual basis, semi-annual basis, quarterly basis, depending on what's going on there, and tell you this is what needs to be done. We're going to take care of it for you. All you have to do is fill out this short questionnaire here. Let us know if there's been any changes. We'll take care of all the filings. So we actively maintain our clients' businesses so that they can focus on running their business, not working in the business. A lot of times I refer to this as low value work, that people tend to get caught up in these details and they're like, I want to know all of this. I understand you may want to know it. That's one thing, but actually doing it is a waste of your time. I don't draft my own meeting minutes. I don't maintain my own companies. Anderson does that for me because my time is more valuable than sitting there and taking care of my own stuff. I pay people to do that. My time is spent growing my real estate, growing Anderson, creating videos, content for our clients. That's where my high value is. Your high value is going to be in your business and your investing. We take care of the low value stuff for you to make sure that it's going to stay protected and continue to operate the way it should be. We have electronic storage of all your documents, annual renewal updates, as I stated, to keep you in legal compliance, and use of boardroom space as well. Hey, you want to come out to Las Vegas? You want to write it off? We'll show you how to do that. We'll set up a meeting for you when you come out to Vegas, meet with our staff. We'll reserve boardroom space for you. It's no cost. It's all part of the program. Now you got a tax deductible trip for yourself out to Las Vegas. You can write off your travel costs of getting out there. That's what another benefit you get of being part of our company assistance program. So we've built a ton into this plan, and it's one of the key features of the Business Essentials. We're also going to provide for you a custom tax and entity structure. So here's the way that works. You're sitting there going, well, what do I need? Do I need I need a Wyoming LLC, or I need this corporation? Listen, as I stated, what we're talking about is general. In order for us to work together, we need to first create a blueprint. And we're going to sit down, we're going to have a one-on-one conversation. We're going to structure or schedule you out next week. We're going to get on a call, or even this week, get on a call. And so whatever works with your schedule and our schedule, we'll get you structured or scheduled right away. And then we're going to sit down. You're going to sit down with one of our strategists, and we're going to go through your existing situation, your existing entities, what you want to do with your investing, what you're currently doing, your tax status. And we're going to develop a plan that incorporates everything that I've been talking about. That's where we're going to start. And from that plan, we're going to make a determination as to what we should be setting up. This isn't a plan where you just say, this is all I need, set me up this. It may be the entity you're thinking you need isn't a LLC, it's a statutory trust. And we're going to guide you and explain to you why that is. So this is part of what we provide as well with the Business Essentials. So who is this for? If you're a beginning investor, you're just getting started. If you're an experienced investor, if you're looking for tax savings, you're going to hear Toby talking about that this afternoon. Or if you've got assets to protect. Anyone, if you're in this category, we've got you covered. We've been doing this for 25 years. We know what is key to help people take their business and grow it and move it to that next level. So here's what's included, as I stated, just to recap on the value. Custom drafted entities, $2,750. The Platinum program, to sign up for that, it's $2,500 a month, $2,500 plus $35 a month to maintain it. So yes, be straight up with you, Platinum, it's $35 a month. It's $2,500 to join. We're giving you that as part of our Business Essentials, but to maintain Platinum, it's $35 a month. Yes, we've worked on short-term rental strategy, as Andrew just asked, that we can cover that in the strategy session. Custom drafted entity, as I say, it's $2,750. Some of you may look at that and say, that seems like a lot. Not when you look at our docs and what we do. You've got over 25 years of experience built into this. Company assistance program, $1,800 to join the company assistance program. That's all included. Custom tax and entity structure at $750. The total value of our Business Essentials is $7,800. That's what it is. Now, this is not what your investment's going to be today to get access to all of these benefits. But before I tell you what that's going to be and show you how to take advantage of this today, Toby and I want to provide you with some bonus items. It's our way of saying, hey, I appreciate the fact that you've taken a day out to be here with us, and that's a sacrifice. And so we reward people who take action to do things to improve their business, their family, their life, their investing. And so with that, we're going to include the following. When you sign up for Business Essentials, we are going to give you, our gift to you, Toby's Tax Toolbox. And here's what it is. What he did is he sat down with our tax department And he said, I want to know the top 20 tax strategies that put the most money back in our client's pocket. And so they went through and they say, these are the 20 strategies we're using that creates the most bang for our clients. I said, great. And we understand that we've got a lot of clients that don't use our tax services, that have their existing CPAs. And that's fine, because when you're a platinum client, we're not saying you have to switch to our tax side. We'll work with your existing CPA. You can talk to your CPA, can talk to the attorneys. I talk to CPAs all the time for existing clients. But here's what I want them to know. I want them to know, to understand that these are the strategies you ought to be considering when you're working with an investor. So maybe the CPA doesn't realize or understand these strategies. With the tax toolbox, now you can have a meaningful conversation, because he's going to educate you with the tax toolbox on the strategies you should be considering, not only what they are, when you can use them, how to use them. So Toby explains it, but then he goes a step further. He goes from video to workbook form. So he puts everything in a workbook. Now, I've seen a lot of workbooks before. People talk about tax strategies and saying, you can do this, you can do that. And then you're left wondering, well, how do I do that or this? So then he goes one step further and he'll show you exactly everything you need to do to document that strategy, every form that needs to be filled out. And why does he do that? Because if you get audited, there are certain things you have to have in order to withstand an audit. So he's going to teach you how to do it. He gives you the forms, shows you how to fill them out. You get a digital workbook. As I said, it's over 270 pages long. You're looking to save money. Tax Toolbox is your way to do it, or you're working with our tax department. But I guarantee you, we've got thousands upon thousands of clients that have utilized this to put tons of money back in their pocket. In addition to the Tax Toolbox, we're going to provide you with our virtual bookkeeping. And in our virtual bookkeeping, what we're going to do for you is we're going to create a chart of accounts. So we're going to show you virtually how to set up your business, your books. We're going to get all your books set up for your business that we're setting up. Says if you've got a flipping business versus a buy and hold, what those chart of accounts look like, because those are important documents. You need to know what a balance sheet is, what a P&L is. So we're going to educate you on all of that, on how to get it set up the right way. So when you're working with someone in the future and you've got a lender and they're saying, hey, we need to see a P&L. You've been working with us. We've helped set up the books the right way so you can fill that out and provide it to them and make sure you can get that loan taken care of. So our virtual bookkeeping is designed for a lot of people who do not understand this stuff. And I don't do my own books as well. I have our tax department handle all of my bookkeeping for me. Again, it's low value versus high value. But we're going to get you started off the right way with the virtual bookkeeping. And then, why do I say it's so important you need to know this stuff? Because when the opportunities come along, you can miss those opportunities because if you don't have good books and records. You see, during the CARES Act that was passed because of COVID, there's a lot of money available for people. And so we created a funding department to help people get loans, which I'll explain to you in a second. And we also created a funding department that would help get them money under the PPP loan and the EIDL loans that were out there. And so what we said to our clientele and the people that we were working with, hey, we'll go out there, we'll deal with the SBA, we'll deal with the lenders, we'll get you the money. You need to give me good books and records. This is why we're including the virtual bookkeeping, because there were several people we could not assist. And it was frustrating for us as well as them because they never had their books set up the right way. And so when this opportunity came along to make sure that they had funds coming in to continue to support themselves, their family, and their assets and their business, they didn't qualify because we would receive things like this. Somebody would send me, here's my balance, my P&L, or here's my balance sheet over here. I got stuff, pictures of people who wrote it out on napkins, and they said, here, submit this to the SBA or to the lender and get me my money. I can't do that. Missed opportunity. Do not discount the value of having good books and records. That is the difference in a lot of transactions moving forward. You're going to find that this is key to get deals done. But as I stated with our funding department, we also built out a funding community. One of the things we do here at Anderson is we want to help our clients grow their business. We want them to find the same successes that we have, our employees have, Toby and I have in our own investing. And we realize that there are certain places to go to gain access to funding that a lot of people are not aware of. It's just because if you don't run in those circles, you don't know where to look. So what we've done with the funding is we created an entire funding department that is devoted to helping our clients gain access to funds to help grow their business, to help grow their real estate. And it was done out of COVID, because what we saw was happening, banks quit loaning money. We said, this is an issue. We started calling up our lenders. We started finding networking with the people that they work with and said, hey, we need to build something out here. And so we built out an entire funding community for our clients that helps them get deals, get money so they can put more deals together. And here's an example of that. George, we got him $1 million to do 2 real estate purchases. Dewey, 115 grand on a business loan, 790 on cash out refis. You got property has equity in it, we can get you cash with our funding department. So when you work with our funding department, you're working with funding specialists, and there's no cost here for you. This is what we're providing to you today as a bonus, that you're going to gain access to this. And so a lot of people say, Clint, I can't do real estate because I have bad credit or I don't make enough money. That's BS. There are lenders out there that do DSCR loans. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Credit, it will matter, but we've got other lenders where credit's not a big a deal as well. You find a deal that cash flows, we can find a lender that'll get you money. And that's it. It's about taking that first step, getting that deal under contract, getting that deal closed. Many people, that's the hardest thing. Or finding the additional funds so they can continue to grow, because you've been conditioned to think you have to work with traditional brokers and Freddie Fannie stuff. I don't deal with that. I do not work with that. Toby doesn't work with that. Our clients don't go down that road because they know where that road typically leads. It doesn't lead to growth. Our funding department is designed around that. So what you have here, the total value of what we're providing today, you add in the tax toolbox, it's $1,500. The virtual bookkeeping is $1,000. The business funding community is $2,500. It brings that total value to over $12,000. And this value, I've got a lot of clients that have made this investment over the years, and they've done so rightfully, and they've got back huge return on that investment as far as protection and tax savings. Toby's going to show you how the investment today, just by the tax savings alone, will pay for itself within the first year if you do everything what he's going to be talking about and you take advantage of what you can do with your entities. But this is not your investment. And the reason why it's not going to be your investment today to take advantage of Business Essentials is because we made a decision here at Andersen out of COVID. And I know COVID was a couple of years ago, but it's really what changed how we conduct our business. You see, the people that I shared with you, the stories, and especially that one client, when they started working with us, they came out to, we would teach these events in person, rent a ballroom for 3 days, and have this conversation, educate people. And then people saw the value in what we were offering. They would then utilize our services. And this is the expenditures that they would make, the investment that they would make to get started with us. And the reason why it was at that amount is because to run a business that way is expensive. To book a hotel ballroom for 3 days, fly out staff, provide the best coffee in the world, because it is. When you go to Marriott, best coffee in the world. You know, I know that. They charge you $150 a gallon. Best water too, because water is $75 a gallon. People come to the event, they got to have coffee, they got to have tea. And so you can imagine our costs. Well, when everything changed because of COVID, and we went to live streaming our events, and we no longer had that expense, for the first several months, this was the investment people were making to work with us. And we decided as a firm that we wanted to change that because we had such a savings by not having to go out there. We decided to pass that savings back to our clients because that's in our ethos. We just feel it's the right thing to do. Yeah, we can make more money, but we're not in it for that. And if you get to know us and you start working with us, you're going to see that it's not about money. For us, it's about giving back to people, individuals, to help them achieve what we've achieved in our own lives. And if I can do that by putting you in a position that's going to protect your assets, reduce your taxes, give you a leg up when it comes to getting loans, I'm going to do everything I can in our power here at Andersen to put you in that position. And that is what motivates us. Because people ask me time and time again, Clint, why are you still working? You've obviously done well with your real estate. You don't need to work. And they're right. I don't need to work. The reason why I'm here today teaching and continuing to teach and put out content is because it's my why. It's what motivates me in life. It's what motivates Toby. It's what motivates our employees, is that we want to see success. And if I can be part of that success by giving you the tools to find that, I'm definitely going to do it. And so that is why we as a company have put this at $29.97. Totally attainable for everyone. All the benefits that you see inside of here, we've dropped all that into there for this one package. You're going to get everything I've listed out there. Now, before I show you how to do it, I just saw somebody say, how do I take advantage of this? I want you to listen to one other client, because if some of you are sitting there on the fence right now and you're wondering, well, is it really the way Clint describes? Well, there's other people out there that are sitting there that have been through this and they had that same question. I asked one of them just to give 30 seconds about what their experience was and what it was like working with Anderson.
I had been doing flips, and I had set up my entities through another company, and I explained that to my brother, and so he did some research, and he actually found you guys online. And then he started sharing me with what you guys were doing and how your program worked. And I'm going, wow, that's way better than what I'm doing. And you guys, your products and the services and how you went in depth and making sure that the entities are set up correctly, so there's anonymity and protection. And I go, you know, that other company didn't really, and they're really well touted, yeah, and they just didn't go through all that depth. And I'm going, well, maybe I'm not as protected as I thought. So then I did research on you guys. So I go, they can't be that good. I mean, I thought I had the good ones, but of course, my brother was right. And I said, well, I'm going to call and talk to these guys. So I called and talked to one of your people, and sure enough, they were saying the same thing that my brother was. I go, this is, well, I got to check this out. Okay, I really need it. So I called again, and I went more in depth, and I just really kind of grilled you guys, and you came up with answers I've never heard of before, approaches, and it was, wow, this is so much better. I think I need to switch, and so I did.
George has been a valued client ever since. And as I stated, if you're wondering, you know, what it's like, I think he really explained it to you. What he realized is that he needed someone in his corner looking out for him, making sure that his assets were protected, and he's doing everything possible to reduce his taxes and help build his wealth and do it responsibly at the same time, to ensure that those people that come behind him, understand that what he's created today is a responsibility for them to maintain in the future and build upon going forwards. This is your opportunity as well to take advantage of the program. Here's a link. Go to that link right there. I encourage you to make the investment today. Sign up for the Business Essentials. I will tell you this is your only opportunity to do it. That is being on here today. And the reason why, as I stated earlier, those people that take time out of their busy lifestyle, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they would rather go boating on a weekend, or they choose to do something else during the weekday and not come to an event like this because life to them gets in the way. Well, those types of individuals are not going to get the types of benefits that we're talking about today, because if they called in later on and said, hey, I'd like to work with you, it's going to be much more expensive for them because they didn't make the investment themselves to be here. And we recognize the investment you made, and that's why you're getting such a tremendous deal. Now, here's something else. You heard me talk about living trusts, okay, as an estate plan. When you sign up for Business Essentials, there are a couple different opportunities. If you feel like you're at that spot right now that we're going to allow you to take advantage of once you sign up. But you have to sign up for Business Essentials in order to get these two special offers. So when you check out, you will be given an opportunity to set up an estate plan, set up a living trust. So you'll see a link. If you want to set up a living trust, you can. It's normally $6,000 to create a living trust. And you're going to see a substantial discount today only for those of you that sign up for Business Essentials. When you log on, you're going to be like, whoa, really that much of a discount it is? Again, as I stated, this is important to us as far as taking or rewarding people who are with us. Now, the other thing too is titanium. Titanium. What is that? It's unlimited LLCs. I talked a little bit about this. So with Titanium, if you become a Titanium client today, you have the ability to create as many limited liability companies as you want. There will never be a subsequent setup charge for that LLC. You're just responsible for the filing fees, but you can call us up and say, hey, Clint, set me up 3 LLCs in Colorado. We'll set up the 3 LLCs and we'll tell you, all right, the filing fees, $150 each for these companies. That's it. And so for those investors that have existing LLCs and you want us to redraft all your operating agreements, you know you're going forward, you're going to make a commitment to start investing this year. You have a lot of properties that are sitting in your own name. If you're flipping real estate, Titanium is something I would encourage you to take a serious look at right now, because the Titanium package, if you want to be a Titanium client, it's $16K. That's what it is to be Titanium. Today, huge discount, phenomenal discount if you want to become Titanium. One thing though, I will tell you, we are limited on how many we can offer, okay? So when you log in, it'll tell you how many are available. Right now, we have available 12 Titanium packages. So if you log in and you don't see Titanium as an offer any longer, it's already been gone, because we have to staff it appropriately because of the service level we provide our Titanium clients. So if you miss it, I'm sorry, we just can't accommodate you right now. But if you know you need this and you see an opportunity and you know going forward you want to create, you're going to need LLCs, and I would highly encourage you, grab this while you can, because what you're going to see, that investment, that's not going to be there forever. That's not going to last. It's going to go. So Titanium are the 2 things that we have on the backside, but you first have to be business essentials to get those phenomenal offers. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is that for you being here today, and you know, I've given you a number of bonuses, but I'm also going to do this. Toby and I will do this. If you take advantage of this offer between now and when we come back from our lunch break, if you appreciate what we've offered you, you see the value in it, you're ready to make that investment and start working with us, then I'm going to give you one additional item, my and Toby's gift to you for taking action. And that is, we're going to give you a personal residence trust to protect your house, because I know it's not just financial value that's wrapped up in our properties, our homes. There's emotional attachment as well, because that's where we raised our kids. And so we have a lot tied up there. And to lose that because of a stupid lawsuit is ridiculous. And that's why we're going to provide you our personal residence trust. I'm going to call it PR Trust. This trust, to set it up, is $1,500. But not only am I going to, we're going to include the trust, we're going to give you a nominee trustee. So I was talking about how I serve as a trustee, maybe myself. My son Carter now is serving more and more as trustee. So you're going to have an attorney listed as your trustee for that privacy. That is a $750 value for us to serve, okay? On top of that, if we can, we're going to do a deed to deed your property into the trust as well. That's a $450 value that we're going to include. So all said and told, you're going to receive an additional benefit of $2,700 with this item right here when you sign up today for Business Essentials between now and when we come back from lunch. So if you're sitting here, you know this is what you need. I would highly encourage you to take advantage of it. We're throwing this in as well because we understand how important that personal residence is. So we want to start working with you as a client. Last thing I would say too about this, if you're sitting there on the fence, you're going, well, what happens if I decide that this isn't for me? Because I see these offers and I move forwards with the investment. Here's the thing. The way we work, we operate from a position, I would say, of high integrity. That's what we believe in. And if someone sits down with us, they sign up for Business Essentials, and then they decide next week, you know what, I'm not ready for it yet. That's fine. We'll give you all your money back. That's the way we operate. Now, when we start working together, for 30 days, you can take advantage of this. We'll give you all your money back without any questions asked. In fact, I'll tell you something else too, is that for some people, when you have a strategy session with us, understand that we're here to help. And if we feel that we can't add value, we may tell you that we're going to give your money back. So it's a two-way street. Because at Anderson, we don't believe that it's worth bringing on someone for $29.97 if we can't add value in their life. We'd rather you go out there and you create something in which we can then add value, and then you become a client. So we start off on a great foundation. Because, the worst thing I would ever, or position I want to be in, is having a conversation with someone a year later and they say, why did I do this? And that's not where we want to be. So appreciate this. If your strategist who you meet with, next week or this week, they tell you, hey, I don't think we can work with you today. It's not that we don't want to work with you. It's just that we don't feel it's the right time. And our business is built upon helping individuals do the things that I've been describing. So just please keep that in mind and don't hold us against us, because some people times they get kind of upset with that, and they'll burn you up a little bit on social media. Oh, they won't help me. They don't want to deal with me because of this or that. It's not that. It's like, I can't add value. And so I'd rather do the right thing at this point in time. And then when the time is right, we're definitely happy to work with you. Job, I saw you jumped in. Are there some questions that are coming up that you saw that we should address?
Yeah, there's a few. So first off, great job today. I think you really boiled it down. There's a few questions, and it's some folks that have signed up for the Business Essentials in the past, and they want the Living Trust by itself, but they don't want to go through and have to buy it again, the Business Essentials. We have a link for you. Just go into the Q&A and say, I am a Business Essentials, and I am looking for the link for just the Living Trust. They probably already know how deep a discount it is. It's thousands of dollars off, and they can absolutely do that. There was folks that are Platinum asking if there's a Platinum discount. And on that one, I think we're just giving a free year of Platinum. So
right.
if you're already Platinum and you sign up for the Business Essentials and you've already gone through and you signed up, you paid the sign up fee for Platinum, and you're like, oh, nuts, I wish I had done this instead. No, we still give you, there's an incentive there. We're still going to give you a free year. And then on the Titaniums, our friends out there that are Titanium that may want to just have one extra entity that's not an LLC, there is a link that they can give you as well. For you folks, just go into chat as well and just say, hey, I am Titanium, or I am Business Essentials, and I need a special link for a steep discount on what it will cost you to add an entity. A lot of questions about the personal residence trust. I don't know if you want to hit on that. Does it do anything to your 121 exclusion, your capital gain exclusion? Does it do anything to your homestead?
Nope. It all stays the same. That's why we're using a trust versus an LLC or something else. So there's a reason for that. As I stated, in quadrant number 1, where your personal residence goes, we're going to maintain the 121, the homestead. That's what a personal residence trust is going to do for you.
All right. There's a question, Laura. You're looking for a link just to do the Titanium. You're already a Business Essentials, and it wasn't available to you when you signed up. We have a special link. If they're still available, they will send it to you. So, guys, could you make sure that you do that, Renee or whomever? By the way, we have a great team. They've answered over 614 questions in writing, and I've been chiming in a little, but it's like not easy questions. I've seen a lot of paragraphs in there. You guys like to ask
That's great
questions. Yeah, absolutely.
LaShondra wanted to know if she's got a personal residence with a mortgage, can she transfer it into a personal residence trust? Absolutely, you can. We do it all the time.
Yep. The other question is this a reoccurring fee? So I don't know if you want to hit that.
Yeah, well, it's, so the only reoccurring fee you have when we set up a business entity, it's going to be the filing fee with the Secretary of State, registered agent fee. So it's a few $100s for that to maintain the entity, and the $35 a month. That's the only fee that you would have. Now, the corporate assistance program, yes, that does renew. There is a fee to renew that if you want to maintain that. But there isn't any, people think, well, I have to pay $3,000 a year for this Business Essentials. Not at all. Not at all. It's a one-time investment you make for a lifetime of protection.
Fantastic. And then a couple people asked, is this tax deductible? And the answer is yes. This is going to be a startup expense in any business that you're setting up. You're limited to $5,000, which we are well underneath, including your filing fees or, whatever it might cost in your particular state. All of those are tax deductible. Do not worry. This afternoon, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of tax techniques, tax deductions, and different ways to treat your real estate that'll put some more dollars in your pocket as well. We'll go over that once we're done after the break.
Great.
And I think that was it. The $35 a month starts, it's not in a year, it's starting off right away. That's the only reoccurring fee that starts off that I'm aware of. Anything
Yep.
else?
Nope. So with that, why don't we give them a half hour?
30 minutes sounds good. We will be back. We'll put up the timer. And when we come back, we're going to dive right into tax planning. We're going to be tight for time. So hang on and buckle up, because we're going to go quick this afternoon, because we want to go through tax planning, and I still want to hit estate planning before we're done. So we'll dive on into those things.
Okay, great. We'll see you back in 30 minutes.